Hello, Facebook. My name is Dawn Janice, and I'm a certified health coach and a certified life coach. And I help driven professionals really up level and get aligned in their business life and create sustainable habits, as well as their personal life and their relationships. And today I'm here to interview a very special friend of mine who is also with BNI Accelerators of Arizona. His name is Richard Dewey, and he's with Humanist Meditation. He is a meditation teacher, and he has taught me a lot about meditation, which I in turn help my clients with because we use meditation as well. But Richard is my guru when it comes to this subject. So Richard, tell me about humanist meditation and how you got involved in this.
Okay, I'll be happy to. So humanist meditation is essentially teaching meditation with a little bit of philosophy involved in it. The philosophy is really centered around, and I'm going to say this probably several times during this interview, equanimity and loving kindness. Equanimity for humanity is my tagline. And that's something that I infuse into the meditation practice. So when I'm teaching people, I make sure that we constantly think about equanimity is essentially very gently and calmly accepting things without judgment. So in other words, like when you are meditating, if you get distracted, which, pretty much everybody does at one time or other, rather than feeling frustration, what you feel is, oh, okay, I seem to have been distracted. That's okay. And then gently and calmly bring your focus back. And then the loving kindness part comes in, where you give yourself a huge hug virtually in your mind, and a kind of a bump of oxytocin. That's the loving kindness part. And I teach people how to do that. And so what I do in humanist meditations, I teach people a lot of different methodologies, a lot of different approaches to meditation, and include in all of them equanimity and loving kindness in the practice. So I think teaching people how to meditate and teaching people how to be as effective as they can and find out which form of meditation really works best for them is what I do, different from a lot of other people. I'm sure there's other people out there that come close, but I know that I do something quite unique in that area. And I just absolutely love doing it. I absolutely love it.
I love what you do as well. It was a really good experience for me when you were teaching me your methods. You'd only taught me two, and I'm really anxious to learn more. But my favorite part was the loving kindness, to go back, get that hug. To me, I envisioned my son giving me a hug and kind of laughing at me and saying, "It's okay, mom, start again." Once I lost track of, once I got distracted and I went back and started again. So the loving kindness, I totally understand. But can you explain a little bit more about the term equanimity?
Sure, absolutely. Equanimity is one of those things that most people have never really heard that word, and I'm sure there's different definitions for it depending on who you talk to. But to me, it is staying calm and composed even in difficult circumstances, right? I mean, that's probably the foundational definition of it. But from there, so equanimity is about accepting all sensory experiences without any judgment whatsoever, just absolute comfort. So for instance, as an example, we're surrounded and our lives are constantly being bombarded with negativity. We have a lot of positivity too, right? But the negativity that comes in our lives is inevitable. It is going to happen. It's life. It's part of life. So what I teach people gives them the skill to be able to acknowledge that negativity without railing against it or feeling strong feelings of aversion, but just very calmly and gently coming up with a positive mitigating action. Simple as that. There's also a lot of wonderful positive things in our life that inevitably fade. I mean, nothing is permanent in life. That's a very Buddhist concept, but it nevertheless also a very humanist concept. Nothing is permanent in life, including the good things. So as those good things fade, rather than clinging to those things, craving them, we accept those, acknowledge them with loving kindness. And again, it's important to always state that you do whatever positive mitigating action you can to help. But if you can't stop it from fading away, it's like I always like to tell people, it's always my way of explaining this is, I know for a fact that my rugged good looks are not going to last forever. And I'm okay with that as it fades away. It's like, okay, that's part of life. That's what I mean. That's the kind of thing. So that kind of sums up what equanimity really is. And it seems to me that if everybody really understood that as a life philosophy, I think the world would be a much better place. Maybe we wouldn't have wars anymore, right? So
Wow.
equanimity for humanity. That's the concept. I'm trying to reach as many people as I possibly can. Try to make a positive change.
What a wonderful job you've been given. What a
Hmm.
wonderful job. Thank you for attempting to do that in the best way possible. And I believe that you are. So tell me about, how did you decide to get into this community of humanism, and then in turn become a meditation teacher?
Well, there's a lot to that story. I don't know how much time we have. So
10 minutes.
how did I get into humanism? Well, humanism, I think I've always been a humanist my entire life. I believe I have, just didn't know what it was. And then about 2009, was it 2009? Yeah, I think it was 2000. Yeah, it was 2009. I just read about it online, and I started doing some research into it. And I found out there was a humanist community here in the Valley. And I thought, I should check them out. So I was in the very first meeting with this particular group, which I will talk more about later. But I was in this group for the very first time in one of their meetings, and I didn't even get halfway through the meeting. And I got out my checkbook and started writing a check to become a member, because I just thought, okay, these people, this is who I am. This is what I've been my whole life. And I just didn't know, what is humanism, right? And so I got into it in 2009 and became very active in that organization. I actually became president of that same organization from 2012 all the way through 2016. So I was president for 5 years. I loved it. I mean, it was a lot of work and it was stressful at times, but it was so wonderful to help build this community. It was right after, because in 2010, late 2010, we opened up the doors of a community center in Mesa. And I'm just so excited about this organization. I just jumped in with both feet, and they saw me working my butt off, doing just about everything I could to help them. And somebody that was a president in 2011 that said she's definitely not going to run again in 2012. She said, I think you guys should pick what you're doing. So somebody came to me and said, hey, we need you to be president. And I'm, oh my goodness, you're kidding. I haven't been here that long. But I took it and ran with it.
That's great. So
But
can you define humanism for those of us that
oh, sure,
would love a more definite description of it?
absolutely. And I know I can't do that realistically in the amount of time that we're talking about, to the extent that it really deserves. But
There.
I will tell you the basics of it.
Okay.
Basics of it, first of all, is humanism is all about living life to the fullest, while at the same time doing everything you can to make the world the best place can be for all of humanity. That is the core essence of what humanism really is. And we go about that evidence-based. I mean, we look at what evidence is there that certain activities or behaviors benefit humanity, and what things harm humanity, and how. And it's just, it's a lot. It's a constant learning experience, like life is, right? But our focus is every step that we can make that will make the world the best place it could be for all of humanity. So
So there's
fulfill
no
it.
exclusion.
Yeah.
It's all of humanity.
Yes, all of humanity. That's everybody.
I love
And of
that.
course, you can imagine, there's a lot of challenges to that, because our culture here, if you can say that we have one culture in the United States, which is not really correct either, but we have a general sense for a culture in the United States. It's so different from other people's cultures. So we try to figure out, okay, what really would work to make their lives the best it can possibly be, and how do we do that without making things worse before making them better? And that's not easy. It's a challenge, but we love the challenge, and it's all about learning and learning and learning as much as we possibly can about the world around us, and what's real, what isn't real, and how do we use our knowledge to help to make the world a better place. That's
Well, that
I think
seems
that's
to
the
go
essence.
hand in hand with really what you're teaching, the equanimity for humanity then. It seems to work really well together. And then to tie your meditation into that movement seems like a natural fit.
Yeah, I think so. And you asked me another question, I think earlier too, that I never really answered. You asked me how I got into teaching meditation. Is it okay if I get into that? Or do you
That
have
was
that?
my next
That's
question
the next
again.
question? Okay,
Mhm.
good. All right, good. Oh, so that's a really interesting journey. Oh my gosh. So just so you know, and I think most people that know me already understand this, but I was an electronics engineer for 36 years. 36 years. But I'd actually had meditation in the background pretty much my entire adult life. I mean, I think when I got out of high school is when I first discovered a book by a scientist named Herbert Benson. He wrote a book called The Relaxation Response. And I believe it was the late 70s is when he wrote that. So when I graduated from high school, I'd already had a sense for meditation practices. And that just captured my mind so much. And I just felt like, okay, this is something I'm always going to have. And I learned so much about meditation throughout my adult life, went through a lot of seminars and read a lot of research papers. Believe it or not, science was studying, and Herbert Benson was a scientist. And
Mhm.
what he was studying what the physiological responses were to people when they meditated using the mantra meditation. So it's first, I believe that he was the first Western scientist to study an Eastern tradition of meditation. And I was just so excited by that. It's like, oh my gosh. So, basically a lifelong journey, learning about meditation, studying it, trying different things, learning different ways to meditate. I created so many different forms of meditation on my own doing that. And I just, really, really loved it. But I was an electronics engineer. And to be honest, they're talking about two completely different worlds there. It's like
Definitely.
not even vaguely related. Um, as I came to the end of my electronics career, because electronics industry became in my mind, out of control. Didn't like the way things were going and the way businesses were running things, the way employers were running things. And about 2008, I decided I need to leave. I did. I was out of electronics for a while, and then I got back into it 4 or 5 more years. So I was in it till about 2016. And for pretty much all of the last 17 years of my career in electronics, I was making 6 figures plus. And it sounds like a lot of money. It sounds like I should have been happy, right?
Mm.
No, that does not make people happy. It was not fun. I mean, I was good at my job, and that's why I was making the kind of money. And but it got to the point where I really needed to do something else. So I left electronics in 2016, and then early 2017, I met a career transition coach who literally changed my life.
Gotta love coaches.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love coaches, no doubt about that. She's just an amazing, I don't know, is it okay for me to mention another business here? I don't know if you are
Sure.
okay with me doing that or so.
We're informal.
So I met her at the Humanist community, in fact, and her name's Pam Heward, and she runs a business called Box Free Minds, and she's a career transition coach, and she's really, really good.
Wow.
And we went through quite a bit with her trying to figure out how to untangle my mind from engineering linearity sort of thinking to more of a free thought, teaching meditation. And actually, we went through a couple different ideas, what things I might actually want to do with my career going forward. And we landed on this. And I
I
just love it. I just love it.
myself have hired business coach in the past, and we have an amazing business coach in our BNI as well, and we'll be talking to Kimberly someday soon too. But I have found that it is worth every penny you pay for that coach, because drilling down is hard work, and figuring out exactly where you want to go with the rest of your life. That's a big deal.
Yes, it
That's a
is.
very big deal. And you've done that, and look what you've landed on. I mean, it's obviously well thought out. The tagline, the name, it fits you perfectly. It's very interesting. But I have I have a question for you that I think a lot of I've run into a few people that are a little confused by the difference between meditation and hypnosis.
Oh, very good. Well, it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to be really good at answering that question because I know absolutely nothing about hypnosis and I wouldn't even try it. Essentially, from my understanding about what hypnosis is, it's essentially uh, exceeding, is that the word? Seceding, whatever, your control to somebody else. So in other words, somebody gets you in pretty much the same state of mind that I get people in the meditation practice. However, it's a very suggestive state, and the practitioner will then suggest things to you and help you to work through things that way. And it really takes tremendous amount of skill and understanding of psychology to do that properly. And so many people
Sure.
really need to be very careful about how they do that.
Mm.
It takes a lot of education. It takes a tremendous background in psychology to be able to do that properly and safely. Meditation gets people in the same frame of mind, the same state of mind in many cases, but I do not use it to insert suggestions into anybody's mind. I just don't do that because first of all, I know that I'm not qualified to handle the potential ramifications of that. And but this again, I speak only from my understanding about hypnosis. Nobody's ever hypnotized me, and I don't know any hypnotherapists, so I really couldn't tell you if I really have that nailed properly. But I,
I think what I really gleaned from the beginning of your explanation, I think is very clear to me, and that is one is led by another person, the other is under your control only. Is that correct?
right, absolutely correct, and I teach people to be able to do that on their own, so they don't require somebody to lead them through it. That's one
Well,
of the most important goals that I do is I want to
absolutely.
teach people how to just get into that frame of mind on their own and control themselves. Yes.
So, so let's talk about that a little bit more, a little deeper.
Okay.
Looking at the benefits of meditation, there's this whole thing that we all are seeming to want to do right now, which is to live in the moment, to live
Yes.
in the moment, which sounds so simple, but it's not so easy to do because our ego and our memories and the future and the past all get in the way, in my experience. Can you
Absolutely.
explain a little bit more about why that is beneficial to meditate, why what living in the moment really means, and why it's a movement now?
Well, that's actually a multiple question there, and it really does require a multi-phased answer. First of all, the mindfulness aspect of it, which is not the only thing I do, but it is the majority of what I do. Mindfulness is allowing yourself to unclutter your mind and be in the present moment, as you said, and it is so valuable for a lot of people who are, especially business professionals, who are constantly doing some kind of a to-do list or juggling so many things at the same time. They can't stop that in their mind when they're not working anymore. And so much of the incredibly wonderful, beautiful things that are around us all the time, they just pass right by them and don't even notice. And it's a shame because there's so much beauty in our lives. We only live just so long. We really need to enjoy what we can while we can. So
Amen.
I really emphasize mindfulness as a way to help people to acknowledge and appreciate and to love the beauty that's all around them all the time. It's such an important life skill. It really is a very important life skill. And as far as the benefits, the medical benefits of it, how you get medical benefits from it. If you talk about reducing anxiety, some forms of depression are significantly reduced. I am not recommending meditation as a way to approach these things without consultation with a professional. Obviously, that you need that. But this, I think, most mental health professionals right now are teaching meditation as a tool. That's one of the things that they use to help people. So, and if you don't really need that, then it's just going to make your life just so much more joyful if you don't have any issues that you need to resolve. And I have quite a few people that I see all the time that they're just in it because it just makes them feel so good. They just love life so much. But what we know about it at this point, scientifically, we do know that it does reduce anxiety and depression and even some forms of pain. How that works, I have no idea. I mean, we would really need to probably talk to some of the medical professionals that have studied this scientifically very deeply. But I do know that that is true. There was a study done by Johns Hopkins University a couple of years back that really highlighted how this is a reality. It is something that meditation could do. They did say, however, and I'm going to throw a caveat in there, they did say that it is not necessarily more beneficial than some of the medicines that they have out there.
Mm.
But here's the key thing to remember. There's no side effects at all with meditation. You don't have to worry about side effects.
Only calmness and clarity.
That's
Those are the side
correct.
effects.
That is absolutely correct. Yes. So hope that answers your question.
Great answer. Very scientific, very
Okay.
Richard Dewey with your background and who you are
Thank you.
now. And what a great combination. So your background, your experience, your uniqueness makes you so valuable, as we all are in our own way, and specifically in this realm of meditation. So if people, business people, family member, people with families, or somebody that maybe just really wants to get more of their life, wants to reach you, how do they do that?
Okay, so my website is humanistmeditation.com, and all my contact information is on there, everything. I have obviously my email address is on there, which is just richard@humanistmeditation.com. And my phone number is on there. You can sign up for classes on there. If you look closely, you'll find that there's social media links on my website. One of those is a meetup page. What's on that meetup page is strictly Saturday sessions that I do that are sessions, not classes. And the distinction is really not much at this point, but the sessions on Saturdays are free. And basically what I do, I don't do that as much instruction, and it's pretty much not planned. And I really don't have much of an idea what I'm going to do until, the day I'm going to do it. And that's 2 hours long. And it's a lot of meditation. And I had a lot of people that, that really, really enjoy, and they stay there for the whole entire 2 hours, and they love every minute of it. And that's one thing I've heard from a lot of people. 2 hours? 2 hours? Are you kidding? And then they get into it and they can't believe when 2 hours is up. It's just like, oh my gosh, because we have so much fun. I mean, it's not just about meditating. It's also about community. It's also about connecting with each other. And it's also about expressing what our experiences were during a meditation, sharing that with each other, and learning from each other, and growing. And I make it fun. I mean,
I
we
bet you
oftentimes
too.
laugh.
I would be willing to bet that it's really fun. In fact, I am very anxious to um, come into your community and maybe join your tribe and do some group sessions like that, especially if they're free. I mean, nothing to lose. And if I
Exactly.
only have an hour, I have a feeling that you probably wouldn't mind if I had to leave, but I might want to stay. You're
That
right.
is correct. Absolutely. So basically the way it works is I tell people, if you're not sure you're going to be able to make the whole thing, try to be there at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Or even a little bit before, because that's when we start. And if you come in the middle of a meditation, I won't even see you there. Right now, I'm doing everything on Zoom. Eventually, I will be getting back into my studio. In fact, that may be pretty soon, actually. But
Great.
I got to talk about my studio. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so right now I'm doing everything on Zoom. And if you get there at 10 o'clock, you're certain to get in, and then you can leave whenever you feel like. I mean, it's perfectly fine if you only stay for an hour. You'll probably get 2 very good 20-minute meditations in, and possibly some good discussion, after each of those meditations. But I do typically 4 approximately 20-minute meditations every Saturday, 10
Beautiful.
o'clock. Yeah. And then you can find the information on that on my meetup
It's very
link.
giving of you to do that free service for groups. So people
Yeah.
can also book individual sessions. That would
Yes.
be something I would be interested in as well. Because I'd like to go deep in certain subjects. And just to be honest with you, I'd like all the attention on me. So that's
And so
possible as
that's
well.
fine. Yeah. I love doing individual sessions. I love doing couples too. So yeah, that's perfectly fine. And if you want that, and then this is not just to you, is to your audience as well. If you really want an individual session or a couple session or something like that, make sure you just email me and let me know. And I'll close off a time and specifically make it just for you,
Wonderful.
or just for your couple, whatever. So
And I
yeah,
know that your fees are extremely low and reasonable, and I
that's
appreciate
what
you
people
so
tell
much
me.
for that. So,
That's
so
what
to
they tell
reach you
me.
again, it's richard@humanistmeditation.com.
That's correct.
That's great.
Yes. And humanist meditation, in this case, there's no spaces, there's no dashes, no anything like that. Just
Got it.
humanist meditation all scrunched together. So,
Got it. Is there any closing thoughts that you would like to reveal to us?
well, probably the only thing that I haven't really mentioned yet that is so critical, and it kind of follows on to something I said earlier. It is my goal to teach as many people as I possibly can, and teach people so well that they understand the basics well enough that they can teach other people also.
Ah,
It's not as important to me that they send people to me unless they're not comfortable teaching other people. And if they're not, then send them to me and I'll teach them. But my goal is to spread this to as many people as possible.
okay.
Humanist meditation is it's an incredible thing. And I just like part of the thing about making the world a better place for all of humanity. For my part of that is to teach meditation so that other people that I teach can teach other people and so on, and just keep that going.
It would be
Um,
wonderful then if yoga instructors, health and life coaches
yes.
attended your sessions as well, and to learn your techniques, because I do use that in my business. Um, I have friends that are yoga instructors, and I'm sure they're going to see this video because I'm going to put it on my page.
Okay.
Definitely attend one of his free sessions, and then I would book one-to-ones with him as well. And yeah, definitely go a little deeper with Richard. Richard Dewey, Humanist Meditation. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time today.
Thank you, Don. This was
It's
nice. This was fun.
my pleasure. It's my pleasure always to talk with you, Richard. I don't know why you
My
just
pleasure too.
feel so relaxed. All right. We will see you very soon.
I
And
wonder why.
do take a look at the links below, because I'm going to have Richard's contact information below as well. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.